So Tinashe is one of those artists that had everything going for her. She had the sound, she had the look, she had the connections, but even though she had so many assets at her disposal, her career didn't take off quite as well as she had hoped. And nowadays, do people even bring up Tinashe's name in the R&B conversation? So the question is, what happened to Tinashe? What up guys, Ali here and welcome to Ali Talks Music. Add me on Instagram at Ali Talks Music as well. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Now let's get into the video. So Tinashe was born on February 6, 1993 in Lexington, Kentucky. Her parents Michael and Amy Kachingwe were college professors, with her dad being Zimbabwean and her mom being of Danish, Norwegian, and Irish descent. Now because Tinashe's dad was from Zimbabwe, they decided to give her a Zimbabwean name, and Tinashe means God is with us in Shana. Tinashe grew up in Illinois. However, she along with her family moved to LA when she was about 8 years old. Throughout her life, Tinashe has always been involved in some sort of modeling, acting, music, and dance. She began appearing in TV commercials and TV shows from as young as 6 years old. She also began dancing by the age of 4 and began playing piano at the age of 6. So from the sound of things, Tinashe was always going to be involved in the entertainment industry. And I wouldn't say her family pushed her into music, but they did ensure that if she decided to pursue music one day, she had all the skills necessary to do so.
Hey, Ebro. This beautiful woman who's sitting next to me.
She's hot.
Yeah, well.
Which is why I'm currently as far as I can be away from her.
Well, her name is Tinashe.
Good job.
What's her last name?
Good job.
But she doesn't go by her last name.
I just want the people to know her last name.
What is your last name?
Kachingwe.
Kachingwe. The Kachingwe.
Now,
Kaching.
can we point out how light-skinned she is with the ghetto-ass name, though?
It's not a ghetto name. She has an African name.
Now while Tinashe was in LA, she attended Crescent Valley High School. However, she left early to pursue a career in music. But let's talk about her acting career for a second. Now while Tinashe was doing her music thing on the side, she was getting early acting roles such as Cora Unshamed, which came out in the year 2000, Call Me Klaus, Rocket Power, and Avatar: The Last Airbender 2007. Now while Tinashe was doing her acting thing, her big break came when she joined the girl group The Stunners around 2007. At the time, she was trying to transition from acting to music, and she assumed joining a girl group would give her all the foundation she needed for her career in the future. Now The Stunners consisted of 5 members. Obviously Tinashe was in the group. Then we have Haley Kiyoko, Ali Ginono, Kelsey Sanders, and Marisol Esparza. The group released singles such as We Got It, Dancing Around the Truth, and Bubblegum. They even dropped a 5-song EP around 2009. However, the group was not without its shortcomings. One of the original members of the group, Kelsey Sanders, left around 2009 and was replaced by Lauren Hudson. Now, whenever a group member leaves a group, it usually means there's some sort of tension in the group, there are some money problems, or maybe that group member isn't making enough money. Clearly, Kelsey was onto something because the group disbanded around 2011, and the members of the group went on to pursue individual careers. Now, Tinashe's time with the Stunners was not without its rewards, as she did learn quite a lot from being in a group. I learned how to record and tour while I was with the Stunners, but it was time for me to say something personal. So, after being in a girl group, Tinashe was not about to join another one, so she began focusing on her own solo career. One of the first things she did is she invested in a home studio. That way she could record, produce, and release her own music. Tinashe took a very hands-on approach to her music, and according to her, everything she learned about producing and editing music videos came from YouTube. At this point in her career, Tinashe was basically a student of the game, but she was still doing whatever she could to gain some visibility and put her music out there, and one of her first solo performances came in the form of a Dodgers Cub game where she performed the song God Bless America.
Tonight by recording artist Tinashe.
Say, can you see? I
she was clearly on the way up, because she also dropped her first solo song called Can't Say No around November. Tinashe was now gaining more visibility, and she followed this up with a mixtape in 2012 called In Case We Die. Now, with her first mixtape in rotation, Tinashe had quite a buzz for herself. The blogs were talking about her, people were starting to ask the question like, who is Tinashe? And eventually all of this build-up and hype led to her being signed by RCA Records that year. This was an amazing point in Tinashe's career. After all the work she had put in, she was finally signed to a label. But Tinashe was soon about to learn a very valuable lesson about labels. But we'll get to that in a minute. So Tinashe gets signed, she's ecstatic, so she began working on new music because she knew it was time to show and prove. So following her signing, Tinashe drops a second mixtape. This one is called Reverie, and it includes singles like Who Am I Working For, Stargazing, and Ecstasy. Tinashe, trying to keep the buzz alive, then drops a third mixtape around 2013 called Black Water. But it was her single that came out next year called 2 On which really put her on the map. Now this song came out in a time when DJ Mustard was one of the hottest producers in the world. He still is, but back then his beats were everywhere. Like as soon as you heard Mustard on the beat, ho, you knew the beat was about to be a banger, you knew the bass was going to be heavy, and you knew it was going to feature his signature Hey chant. So Tinashe's 2 On comes out, it generates a significant amount of buzz for the singer. So then the label's like, alright now, it's time to put out an album. So Tinashe drops her debut album in 2014. The project is called Aquarius, and it features 3 singles, namely 2 On, Pretend featuring A$AP Rocky, and All Hands on Deck. Overall, the album is pretty good, man. I listened to it, and I will say this, that Tinashe is able to create a very consistent mood throughout the album. It feels very cohesive. And apart from the big singles like 2 On, it also has very introspective tracks like Bet and Cold Sweat. Oh, and there's also Far Side of the Moon, which is probably one of her best songs. Aquarius was a very good album overall, and it might have even paved the way for artists like SZA and Doja Cat. Now, Tinashe's project sold about 18,000, 19,000 copies in the first week. So let's compare Tinashe's sales to her peers. Jhené Aiko dropped Sold Out in that year, and it sold about 70,000 copies. And that's just the first week. Keisha Cole dropped Point of No Return, and that sold 25,000 copies in the first week. Mary J. Blige dropped The London Sessions, and that sold about 55,000 units in the first week. So with that being said, it's clear Tinashe's sales were not amazing. But the thing is, the project was good, so what was the problem? Well, it turns out her label RCA Records had creative control over her music and also her image. So Tinashe would often find herself butting heads and disagreeing with the decisions that the label has made. For example, the cover art for her project Aquarius was not her idea. In Tinashe's mind, the image on the back cover was supposed to appear on the front, but the label didn't like this move and chose to push their own agenda. So in 2015, Tinashe begins working on album number 2. She's focused, she's in the zone, however this time she wants to do things a little bit differently. Tinashe was like, I've already done the pop mainstream music thing, so I want to do something a little bit more experimental this time. And the label was like, I love that idea, I love that idea, but I don't. You're doing things my way. So the label decided to push her into a more mainstream, marketable image. So around 2016, Tinashe drops album number 2 called Night Ride. One single is released from the project called Company.
I just want some company, company. I just need some company, company.
And this one didn't do as well as the previous album. But why is that? Now, in Tinashe's mind, Night Ride is her second album, but according to the label, this was not supposed to be her second album, and that's why they did not promote it, tour for the album, and get proper visuals for the singles. So essentially, Tinashe and the label did not see eye to eye on her musical direction. She wanted to do one thing, and the label wanted her to do something else. I believe if you're a label and you sign an artist, you shouldn't limit their creative expression and you should allow them to push boundaries, because who knows? If the label had promoted Night Ride, it was probably going to do more numbers and more sales because it still hit the Billboard 200 and landed at number 89 with little promotion. Now, despite her label issues, Tinashe kept working and she finally got to drop Joyride around 2018. Keep in mind that she had been teasing this album since around 2015, so it's clear that her label issues kept her from dropping this album a bit sooner. So Tinashe drops Joyride. It has 3 singles, namely No Drama, Faded Love, and Me So Bad, and it sells about 10,000 copies in the first week. Now the thing is, 1 year after dropping Joyride, after all the hype, after all the fighting she did to put the project out, Tinashe decided enough was enough and she departed RCA Records. And according to her, she did so of her own accord. Her manager Mike Nazaro said the following: "We initiated for her to be released. It was a positive split for her. It's giving her back creative control." So, Tinashe was finally back in control of her career, she was independent, and looking back on it, it's clear the label played a part in holding her back. But another thing that held Tinashe's career back was Tinashe herself. Now around 2017, Tinashe did an interview with The Guardian, and in the interview she said that because she's light-skinned and mixed race, she doesn't really feel like she fits into the black community or is accepted by the black community. Now once people got a hold of what Tinashe had to say, they went crazy on social media and claimed Tinashe was using colorism as an excuse for her lack of success in the industry. Also, a lot of people were like, hold on, part of the reason why you blew up in the first place is because you're mixed race, and you're light-skinned, and you're cute, right? So aren't you benefiting from the colorism that you're complaining about?
Tinashe tripping. Tinashe gets plenty of looks. I see Tinashe on the bill for stuff and TV shows and festivals she be on, and I always say to myself, how did Tinashe get here? I just thought she had sneaky singles everybody was rocking with.
So yeah, Tinashe got into very hot water because of her statements, and even though she went onto social media and tried to put out the flames, people haven't really forgotten what she said about the whole colorism thing. Now another thing Tinashe did to herself was create problems with Chris Brown. So around 2015, Tinashe and Chris Brown collaborated on a song called Player. She also has a song with R. Kelly, one called The Buffet. So around 2023, Tinashe does an interview, and the interviewer is like, "So, how do you feel about having worked with Chris Brown, a known woman beater, and R. Kelly, a known PDF file uploader?" Then Tinashe was like, "I'm so ashamed. I wish I never worked with them. I'm so embarrassed by this. It wasn't me." To which Chris Brown responded by asking the public to name 5 Tinashe songs. He said, "Name 5 Tinashe songs or die. Everybody dead." Now according to Tinashe, Chris Brown took the entire thing out of context and that she was open to speaking to him to clear things up. According to Tinashe, the label pushed her to work with Chris Brown and R. Kelly. And now that we understand her issues with her label, that's probably what happened. So, what happened to Tinashe? Her label held her back and didn't allow her to have creative control. They also failed to promote a whole album that she made, and they did so out of spite, all because she wanted to create something meaningful to her. So today Tinashe is still dropping music. She's supposed to drop her next album in August of 2024, and she also dropped a new single called Getting No Sleep. Tinashe is still touring, showing up at events, and from what I can tell, she isn't gonna stop dropping music anytime soon. In fact, Tinashe dropped a song called Nasty recently, and it's already one of her biggest songs to date.
Tinashe, how does it feel to have Nasty charting on Billboard?
Oh my gosh, it's so exciting. This is like my first Billboard entry, like by myself.
I know,
No feature,
congrats.
period.
No
They
feature.
said you couldn't do it, but you can.
Right, and you did it independently.
Independently, just hard work. Shout out to the fans. They really made it possible.
So yeah, she's still winning. The artist gets about 19 million monthly listeners on Spotify, and her most listened to songs are Nasty, 2 On, All My Friends, Getting No Sleep, and Needs. That's it for me, it's your boy Ali. What happened to Tinashe in your opinion? Let me know down below. Also add me on Instagram at Ali Talks Music. Till next time, peace.
Perfect.